This Week in Startups is brought to you by Gusto, an easy online payroll, benefits, and HR built for modern small businesses. Get 3 months free when you run your first payroll at gusto.com/twist. SendPro Online from Pitney Bowes. Save time and money no matter what you ship or mail. Try it free for 30 days and get a free 10-pound scale when you visit pb.com/twist. And HubSpot. Join thousands of startups that are growing better with HubSpot for Startups. Learn more and get extra benefits for being a Twist listener now at hubspot.com/startups/twist.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of This Week in Startups. We do the show twice a week. You can find us at thisweekinstartups.com and in any of your fine podcast players, Spotify, Overcast, iTunes, whatever you like, we're there. Just search for Startups, you'll find us. And if you want bonus points, write a review. Hey, why not? My mom reads them. And we also will be in Sydney, Launch Festival Sydney in June. Go to launchfestivalsydney.com. And then in July, we're having the Angel Summit, launchangelsummit.com for angel investors only. And we have angel.university happening as well. So you can check out angel.university. That's all the plugs we have for today. The biggest question, or one of the biggest questions I get is, when do I bring in professional management? If I take venture capital, will the VCs replace me as CEO, put in another CEO? And today on the program, we're very lucky to have the outgoing CEO of Owl Labs and the new CEO of Owl Labs on to talk about how to make that decision at your startup. You may or may not know Owl Labs. They're a pretty young startup, I think maybe 2 or 3 years old. And the product manager from iRobot, which I believe makes the Roomba, which was, I think, Rodney Brooks' company. Right. I got all that right. Max Makeev?
Correct.
Got it. All right, Max. Max and I met maybe a year or two ago, and I saw this very cool product called the Owl. Or is it called the Meeting Owl?
It's called the Meeting Owl.
It's called the Meeting Owl. And it looks like an owl. And if you're running a remote team, it's pretty magical. I'm going to try describing it, and I'll let you, Max, tell me if I got it right. You plug it into your computer, you power up whatever you use for meeting software. I think Google, Hangouts, Zoom. It supports a couple of these different platforms. But what's really special about it is it's got a camera on the top that is robotic. And if somebody's talking, like the $250,000 Cisco powered rooms that we would all use back in the day, it zooms in on the person talking, and then it creates this beautiful kind of split screen and widescreen view, which is very cool, of the table. So the person who's on the remote end of the discussion really feels like they're more present. Did I do a good job of describing the Meeting Owl?
Yeah, you did a great job.
I think it cost a G.
It's just under a G, actually. Super affordable compared to any other solution on the market.
It's kind of ridiculous. It's $1,000, $800, $900. What is it?
It's $799.
$799. And the person on the it's not like everybody has to have one. It's for the side of the meeting where the most people are. Like if you have 6 people in a meeting in your headquarters and then 3 remote people, the 3 remote people don't need one.
That's correct. If you have a distributed team is the way we think about it, you should get yourself a Meeting Owl because you want to provide an inclusive meeting experience for everybody.
Yeah. And the sound is particularly good too.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, we spent a lot of time on getting the audio right. We have so the Meeting Owl is a $799 product, and it has the 360-degree camera, 360-degree microphone array. There's 8 microphones, 1 more than Alexa has. And there's a downward-firing speaker at the bottom to fill the room with great audio for the benefit of the people in the room. Yeah. It's a business IoT device, so it's connected to the web. We did that deliberately to make sure that the product got better and better over time as we understood our customers better.
Oh, you could update it, you're saying?
Totally. Kind of like when Tesla launched its car, it was just an electric vehicle. Yeah. Now it drives itself and parks itself.
Yeah, you have the OTA, over-the-air updates.
Absolutely.
OTA, over-the-air updates, yeah.
That's right.
And so you got about, 2 years into this?
So we started the company in 2014.
Oh, 2014, I didn't realize.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
And it really started because my co-founder he was a brilliant roboticist. He had this problem. He was working as a remote employee of a startup that was based out of Las Vegas. And one-on-one conversations were super easy. You pop open your laptop, you have that great experience. Yeah. But as soon as he got into a group call, he couldn't see anybody. He couldn't hear anybody. And he couldn't participate effectively. So he took me out to a bar, described the problem, and our robotics brain started clicking. And we just imagined a world where you can walk into a room and you can the technology sees everything that's important and automatically focuses on the right thing at the right time for the benefit of those remote distributed team members.
And that's what it is, that robotic camera on the top that you really can't see. That's sort of on the top of it. And that comes from your experience at iRobot, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, everything is about automation, though the customers shouldn't have to worry about that aspect of it. They just need a solution that works. They need the confidence that they walk into a room, they can have a great meeting, extract all the value. Too,
because the Roomba is really the only robot people have in their homes. It's the only robot that's actually made it to consumers that's worked, isn't it?
That's correct, yeah.
Why?
Well, so it's a number of factors. Roomba was not the first robot on the market, but it was affordable and it worked. It was sufficiently good for the customer's needs at the right price, at the price point. And when you think about Roomba, there's just one button on there that says clean, and it doesn't get any easier. With the Meeting Owl, it's a USB pluggable device. There's no software to install on your computer. You just plug the USB into a meeting room computer or a laptop, and then the drivers are automatically built into your operating system, whether you use Linux or Mac or Windows. Fire up Skype, Hangouts, Zoom, any conferencing platform you use, it just works.
And there's nothing hidden. There's not a bunch of stuff under the table that's running it. That's the entire.
And that voice you're hearing is Frank Weishaupt, who is the new CEO of Owl Labs, and that's what we're going to have you in here. Well, also to talk about the product a bit, but why hasn't there been a robot for the home other than the Roomba? Was there anything you thought would work?
I mean, I think consumers want to stop doing their dishes. They want to stop doing their laundry. But the truth is that the technology to get there is expensive. The battery power isn't quite there. The mechanics, materials isn't quite there yet. So these are real problems that will be solved over time, but it's just not affordable at this moment. But in the office, that was ripe for innovation because for the longest time, cameras were essentially stale. They increased their pixel count, but not the experience. The audio performance, you got a few more dB out of your microphone, decibels out of your microphones, but it really didn't help you feel connected to the people in the room. And so that was our opportunity to apply robotics thinking into a space.
What is the robotics for the audio then? Does it change the volume dynamically based on how far you are from it or something?
That's right. There's a lot of magic in there. It changes the volume dynamically. So soft speakers at the back of the room get picked up. Loudspeakers get truncated down, but it's the sensor fusion of the audio and the video that lets us identify where the people are in real time so that we can focus on you when you speak or Frank when Frank talks, and this happens automatically.
So if we were at a round table and it was like a clock, and then there's somebody at 3 o'clock who's a loudmouth and somebody at 6 o'clock who's soft-spoken, it's going to change the camera to point at them when they're talking, but it's also going to modulate the volume.
That's correct.
So it's not blasting your ears out.
That's right. And the benefit to the people in the room is not that they have a cool piece of tech. It's just that they have a natural, fluid conversation that gives you a chance to extract all the value out of everybody participating on the conversation.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Remote work became a thing right as you were building this thing. It was, if we were looking at it 10 years ago, people were like, well, who cares about remote workers? Like, how many of them are there out there? All right, when we get back, we're going to ask Max why he decided he didn't want to have the CEO title anymore and brought Frank in on This Week in Startups. Stick with us. I'll give you a great opportunity right now. If you're a small business owner, you're going to be wearing a lot of hats, and Gusto makes payroll, taxes, and HR easy for small businesses. We use it. We love it. It's fast and it's simple payroll processing. You get benefits and expert HR support all in one place. It automatically pays and files your federal, state, and local taxes, and it's easy to add health benefits and the 401k like we did this year. Da-da-da-da-da. My team loves me for getting that 401k set up. It's quick and easy onboarding, according to Ashley, my managing director and my former chief of staff. And they're persistent and helpful with their communication. Never annoying, but they are helpful and persistent in making sure you do this right, and you have to do it right. Excellent customer service on chat and phone. And I love chat customer service because I can multitask. And it's great to have a payroll and all the benefits in one place, according to Ashley, who runs operations here at Launch. Commuter benefits, health, dental, vision, 401k, 529, for your kids, HSA, all that great stuff. So now is the best time for you to get set up for the new year. Do not wait. Listeners will get 3 months free when they run their first payroll. Think about that, 3 months on the arm for This Week in Startups listeners. Go ahead and go to gusto.com/twist. Once again, that's gusto.com/twist. We use it. We love it. It's awesome. Hey, welcome back to This Week in Startups. My guest today, Max Makeev, who is the co-founder and outgoing CEO of Owl Labs, and Frank Weishaupt, who is here and is the new CEO of Owl Labs. And this transition is occurring today. Today's show is on a Tuesday, I believe, and this transition is happening when we left our hero, Max, the co-founder and outgoing CEO. I was wondering, why are you giving up the top slot?
Yeah.
You put 4 years into this. Are you being forced out by your venture capitalists, or did you make this decision yourself?
Yeah, so there's a great story that comes along with this because
Let's
the answer is kind of long, and I think having listened to your show a bunch, I want to be as valuable as I can be to your listeners.
Oh, thanks.
So we raised our A round in 2016. And actually, it was funny. At the time, my co-founder was in Boston. I was in San Francisco. We pitched the Matrix partnership on both coasts through a video call. And we used the meeting owl for part of the pitch. So, but before we could get the term sheet, I had to fly back to Boston and meet with our VC. And so I took a red eye out to Boston. I met him up for breakfast. He fed me the most ridiculously filling breakfast. I wanted to just pass out right then and there. But we spent a lot of time talking about what my perspective was about company building and where I wanted this company to grow. And I told him that I wanted to build a big, valuable company, big, valuable brand that delivers all the value to the customers. And to me, the second part of my goal was that I wanted to build a company that outlasts the founders. And so it was never about title. From day one, it was about mission. And the mission was to solve a real problem, get a product out to the customers. And we raised the capital. We spent a year going through manufacturing hell. We crawled out on the other side with a very successful product. And in the beginning of this year, we were hitting our inflection point. And I'm looking at it thinking, okay.
Yeah, no, I know sales have been good.
Sales have been great.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at this inflection point and I'm thinking, we need focus. And if I want to build that big company, I need to decide if I have the skill set now to go through that next stage of growth, which is scale.
Also the desire, you could probably learn it if you're working in robotics. You'll probably learn to be a manager, I guess. But did you just also not want to be part of the scale phase of the startup and maybe you like the early part better?
Well, so I'm going to be a big part of the scale process.
Okay.
I'm still focused on product. I'm making sure that our supply chain is also unclogged. We have an ambitious roadmap. We need to deliver that to our customers. So the point is focus. I decided, look, we're going to bring in somebody that's expert at scaling, expert at growing. And I'm going to focus on the part of the business that continue to build that economic engine for the business and be a good partner to Frank. So the process is that in April, I talked to the board, I talked to my co-founder, and I said, look, we're about to go through some big change. We're about to go through some big growth. And I don't want to learn on the job because I put 4 years into this thing. I don't want to risk failing.
Got it.
So let's find somebody that is worthy of growing this company. We spent 6 months talking to candidates from...
Did you use one of those Christian Timbers or something like that? Did you use an executive search firm?
We did, yeah. So we got together once the...
you can chat them out if you want.
Yeah, I'll have to look back at my notes who they. Howard Fisher Associates. Thank you.
Howard Fisher Associates. People don't know there are these firms out there that specialize in board members and CEO searches. Typically cost $250,000, $100,000. It's not a cheap thing to do, is it?
I hated spending the money. It was a
hundy. It's usually a hundy.
Spending money in general. So
$100,000, something like that.
I'm a frugal guy. I like to put all the money
when you
into
see
the
it, then
business.
you've hired developers for nothing yourself. And, if you pay a recruiter, it's maybe $20,000, $30,000. But then these recruiters, this is a different level.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they're maintaining decade-long relationships with senior executives.
That's right. They have template matching, pattern recognition. You're paying for that value. And so we got to meet a lot of great candidates. And one of the requirements that my co-founder Mark and I agreed on is that we needed a true partner. We were product heavy, technology heavy. We have great sales success, but what we needed is to have even more. It's one thing to go from X to 10X, but it's another thing to go from X to 100X.
Yeah.
And so we felt like we needed somebody that complements us in that area.
Has sales experience or growth experience. Hey, Frank, that was you.
Yeah.
So what were you doing? You're sitting out there waiting for an opportunity on boards, or were you working already and you got recruited out of somewhere?
No, I was in SVP
How did that work?
At a public company called Car Gurus.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So that's a company that went public in 2017. I spent 4 years there. So
Got it.
Got the call. I've gotten a bunch of calls over time, but looked at the deck, looked at the product. Quite frankly, it's a challenge that I've faced my entire career, managing remote teams, having meetings with clients that are in other locations, and seeing the solution. I was pretty excited about it. So I took the meeting and started spending time with these guys in May, and got hired in October.
How do you make that decision? Because you're 50 years old, 40 years old, something like that?
I'm not 50 years old.
No.
In fact, when I first got here, my 30-year-old headshot from Yahoo was here, so I felt a lot younger.
Just slightly over 50.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. Not that it matters, but
No.
you could take a kind of like an easy breezy job at Yahoo or Google and
Not
get that
interested.
SVP.
Not interested. So that's,
So why deal with the agita of going down to a small startup with a lot more risk?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting.
You want the excitement?
I spent a decade at Yahoo, and I thought that was my thing. Bring a guy in that can manage big teams, big revenue numbers. But my experience after that has been with companies that are earlier stage. And when I got to CarGurus, there were probably 40, 50 employees, and we wound up having an IPO in 2017. Market cap got up to somewhere around $6 billion. And
you had 500 employees by the end, or 1,000?
Over 500 employees,
wow.
yeah. But what I realized was I really enjoyed that growth stage, right? So to be able to come somewhere that had sales momentum, had a great product, and had founders that, that was the biggest thing for me, is because that was the first question I asked myself too, was, why would one of the co-founders step down out of the CEO role?
Usually it might be a sign of something's wrong.
Right. And it wasn't the case, right?
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time together to make sure there was really good ideals in terms of how we wanted to work together, and that we could be really good partners long term here, because it's a tremendous opportunity.
And then how do you deal with the issue of founder authority in the company? And the founder's got more equity than you. Founder's got board seats. You don't, or maybe you do. Who knows?
Well, listen, they moved out here in 2014 and slept on floors and cots and all that kind of stuff. I have a tremendous amount of respect for founders that have come in and done the hard work, and I have no issue with that.
Yeah. But then how do you, as the CEO, how do you manage I don't know, how many employees you got now, Max? Like 40? Just under 30. Yeah. So those are the 30 employees he picked.
Yeah.
And he's bonded with. Now you got to come in, and they're going to be looking at you like, oh, go boy, here comes the professional management. How do you navigate 30 employees who you didn't hire?
Yeah.
Maybe you got to replace some, maybe you got to add some. Do they look at you and be like, oh no, senior management's here? How do you have a technique for that?
I'm sure they did.
How do you break that ice?
I actually started back in October, so I've had the chance to, spend time with all the employees. There hasn't been a lot of that so far. I think, it's a very united team and a very experienced team, certainly on the engineering side. And, they're excited about building something big here, right? So I think that they looked at my experience and, the unified front that Max and Mark, the co-founders, had put forward as they made the announcement, and we started working together. And I think that was the other good thing too. It wasn't like we dropped an announcement on them and I walked in the door, right? So, they've been talking to them about the fact that they were going to bring in a CEO. And then when I did, we had the opportunity to spend a lot of time together before it became public.
Yeah, if I can just add to that, before Frank, so I made the announcement to the company, and one of the things I wanted to highlight to everybody is the amazing success we had. We had amazing growth with customers. We had amazing growth with revenue. We did a lot with not a lot of fundraising. We only raised $7.3 million to deliver.
Pretty
this
efficient
product.
for a hardware startup.
We try our best.
Yeah.
And I said, look, we're going into this next phase. I want to bring, it's not just a partner, but also a mentor. I want to learn about how this process works. And the benefit to all of these employees is that they're going to see it from the ground up themselves. So they've seen the hard part of getting to, building that engine, but now they get to see the fun part, the next fun part, which is scaling that business to become a multi-billion-dollar company.
That's right. And I think they also saw sales explode in the back half of the year to where demand outpaced supply. So, there was a need for more help to be able to come in and make sure we're optimizing capital the right way and getting inventory in. So,
yeah, I mean, the Google guys brought in Eric Schmidt famously. And I think the position there was they need to keep working on the product and grinding. And somebody needs to have an adult, quote unquote, talking to Wall Street kind of situation. But nowadays, people don't want the founder to step down necessarily, or they certainly don't force them out like they used to. If we were sitting here 10, 20, maybe 20 years ago, I'd be like, the founder's going to be here for the first couple of years, and then we'll get some gray hair in here. No offense, I got some grays myself. But that seems to have changed. How does it affect the investor relationships? Do you find that like investors are like, oh wow, this is a super mature founder and I can make a bigger investment?
I think it's more of that. So I'm a fiduciary, and like my responsibility is to protect the shareholders and create shareholder value. And in April, I was looking at this amazing growth we're having and the risk I saw to the business, right? It's not about me. I never really think about it as it's not about me, it's about the business. The risk to the business was the risk of scaling efficiently and not screwing that up. So I think it was the responsible thing, and the Matrix partnership really valued
Does that mean they'll throw more money in? They'll be more confident?
I have no doubt.
Yeah. And other investors, did you talk to other investors, and what was their take on it?
Well, so I talked to existing CEOs. I talked to our investors. I talked to some mentors of mine. I didn't go outside of the company because I wanted this is like an intimate moment. I just want to make sure we keep it in the family.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm trying to think about how I would feel about it as an investor. And if the founder was okay with it, I'm obviously okay with it. And then it does seem like I kind of like look at it like the Warriors bringing on Durant. It was like, well, you're bringing on another like all-star. Like, it can't be bad to bring on more talent.
Well, and I think if you were to look at the numbers, I think you would you'd pretty quickly move past that.
Yeah.
I think also the working relationship that we had, 10x customer growth, 8x revenue growth, 17 to 18, and
in a year
for a V1
year.
product.
So that was year over year, 10x.
Yeah, 10x.
Yeah, 10x. I mean, year over year, early on, you see often 2, 3, 4 times. You don't really see 10x that often.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had a good product in the field. Customers love it. They tell us about it.
Customers love it, and they buy frequently, right? So that's one of the great
I have to say,
levers.
like I am like a meeting snob. Number one, I hate meetings. And if I do have a meeting and somebody shows up for a meeting with like their dangling, microphone and they're not plugged into Ethernet, I admonish them. And I stopped doing remotes on this podcast because it's just too frustrating for me when the audio quality goes down, the video quality goes down. And I just tell everybody, you have to have a headset. And I want a headset with the stick microphone. Like you look like you're landing an airplane. If you don't have that, don't show up for the staff meeting. This week, we had our staff meeting. We used the Owl. I got 3 people in Toronto. All 3 had their air traffic controller headsets on, but they didn't have Ethernet because they're in a co-working space. But I said, we got to get a co-working space with Ethernet in the office because Wi-Fi is messed up. And then this is how crazy I am about my meetings. I tell them, turn your Wi-Fi off. So we like literally power off Wi-Fi so we know you're on the Ethernet. And then shut every application on your desktop off, or have a separate one called conferencing that doesn't have any of the detritus that comes with a Mac desktop or a Windows desktop, because you have so much garbage running in the background that somebody's like Dropbox is going to sync or something, and all of a sudden the video quality. I want perfect video quality. And since we started using the Owl, I don't want to make this like a testimonial, but it really is like, it really does make things look and feel much smoother. But you have to have headsets. That's the key. You ever think about like headsets in relation to the Owl? Because you're using open air microphones. You ever think about like connecting headsets that connect to it, or microphones? Would that increase the fidelity?
Well, so I think, the short answer is yes, but I think that's also not the way that I want to approach that problem personally. Like, I want the smoothest experience for everybody. I don't want you to mess up your hair when you're walking into a meeting. Like, I think you should just act natural the whole time. The technology should be there for you. You should not be changing your behavior just so that the technology can work. So what you're highlighting is actually the growth opportunity we're still staring at. And I love the fact that Mark and I started this company with our robotics background, because we get to think about this problem very differently. How do we automate away friction? How do we get out of this quagmire that we're in every time we start a call? You've got some thoughts on that.
Well, I think it's just more, and that's one of the things that we've been talking about for a long time, is what does the meeting look like in the future that actually is functional, it works. You don't have that tax when you walk into a room. So we are trying to create a little bit more of a frictionless environment, which is why I brought up that, what people see is what they get here. There's not 11 different pieces that come with it, with a whole bunch of tools that you have to set it up with. This is it. Most people can start. It's intuitive tech, which, as consumers,
I know you want to be able to plug it in and just work.
I mean, it's like, as consumers, we're ready for that in the home. We're ready for that in our day-to-day
I think that was
lives.
probably one of the really savvy moves is that you made, is you didn't make your own conferencing software. So when we first got it and Austin was showing it to me, I was like, oh, what do I have to install? It's like, nothing. You just plug it in. I'm like, that's not possible because it's doing all this stuff. He's like, no, it just replaces your microphone. So just think of it like a webcam a speaker and a microphone, if you were plugging all those into your thing, it's just like you just plug it into one USB and it just works, and you address it as such. So you don't it works with every piece of software out there.
That's right. The only thing that we recommend you install is an app on your phone to provision the Owl to Wi-Fi to take advantage of those great automatic software updates. And that really is to your benefit.
What's the best update you've done so far?
So we've released software updates that increase the audio quality, that increase the video quality. You've seen maybe some of the images that Google has been releasing with taking a snapshot with a phone of a really dark scene and applying some software magic to turn it like...
Yeah, the Pixel 3 has
That's
this,
right.
where you can take photos at night and the software...
Yeah, and one of the things that an early investor of ours would tell us is this processor we've chosen has lots of transistors in it, but that really means is that we can continue to develop algorithms offline and push that value to the customers.
You put a powerful processor in there?
Absolutely. One of the reasons why we're able to achieve such a low price point is because we're leveraging cell phone class processor technology in this product. And actually, that's a parallel to Roomba, because Roomba came onto the scene by being able to leverage low-cost microcontrollers, as well as they were writing down that cost curve of the batteries using nickel metal hydride batteries from the drills, right? And so these other markets are opening up the opportunities for us to come in and deliver great experiences using the technology that's been driven down by them.
Got it. All right. When we get back, I'm gonna ask, how do you set the agenda now that you got a CEO when you're the founder? And what if there's a disagreement? What happens then? When we get back on This Week in Startups. If you're running a business, and if you're listening to This Week in Startups, we know you're running a business. Time is money. And shipping can be complex and time-consuming with the rates changing constantly. I know this because every week I autograph a bunch of copies of my book and we send them out to fans and super fans. Well, I want to tell you about a new solution we've been using, SendPro Online by Pitney Bowes. You know Pitney Bowes. SendPro Online is the one solution that can help you scale. Whether you're sending letters, packages, overnights, flats, whatever it is, you can easily compare USPS, UPS, and FedEx all in one tool. Print shipping labels and stamps right from your own printer. No more going to the post office or waiting in line. Yep, you can track your shipments and get email notifications when they've arrived. Plus, and this is a big plus, USPS postal rates are going to increase January 27th. So you're still going to be able to access savings of up to 40% off USPS priority mail shipping. That's what we use. And 5 cents off every letter you send just by using SendPro Online. Pitney Bowes is, of course, a 100-year-old company and one of the original Fortune 500 companies, and is now at the forefront of providing shipping solutions. So here you go, the call to action. SendPro Online is only $14.99 a month, and listeners can get a 30-day free trial at pb.com/twist. That is very generous. Go ahead and get your 30-day trial at pb.com/twist. You'll also receive a free 10-pound scale to help you weigh packages. And you want to have them accurate and calculate those shipping costs perfectly. You're never going to overpay that way. That's pb.com/twist. pb.com/twist. We use it. We love it. It's working great for us. And you can experience the convenience of SendPro Online for yourself when you sign up for that 30-day free trial at pb.com/twist and get that 10-pound scale so you don't waste any money, because every dollar is precious when you're running a startup. Okay, let's get back to this very important episode. Welcome back to This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis. Follow me on Twitter at Jason. Follow the show at TWI Startups. And you can do the same thing on the Instagram. My guest today, Frank Weishaupt, who is the new CEO of Owl Labs. Congratulations. And Max Makeev, who is the co-founder and outgoing CEO. But you're going to take the title what? Co-founder? Take the title product manager? What are you going to be?
I'm going to continue to be a co-founder and continue to focus on product roadmap and delivery of supply.
So you bring in a CEO. CEO means typically you're the person who makes the final decision. What have you talked about? What happens if you disagree?
We've already disagreed.
Okay.
Plenty of times.
Yeah.
So,
but like that was like what desks to get or what we're ordering for lunch.
Product roadmap.
Oh, product roadmap.
Yeah,
okay.
cash.
Yeah, unpack
how
a
we
little
use
bit.
cash.
Oh, how we use cash.
Yeah.
Like, okay, both those are good topics.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is part of the, the interview process that you go with. This is, it wasn't.
Oh, do you talk about that when you're kind of dating or after?
No. We're, we've faced some of those challenges already, but we went through a lot during the 6 months that we got to know each other. We ran through a lot of scenarios. We went through planning exercises. So, we were comfortable with each other to know that there were going to be areas where we may not agree or where we may want to go in different directions. And it's been a really good effort right now to date. And we knew that was going to be the case going in because of how much time we spent together and the fact that there was a really good connection there. So, and I'm really viewing Max as a partner, right? He's been through this. This is my first CEO role. Right?
Oh, okay, great.
So, this is my opportunity to, to learn from all the people I've worked with in the past and to learn from Max's experience as well. And so far, it's been fantastic.
And so, in your mind, Max, what happens if you guys hit those disagreements? How do you handle it? Because you didn't have anybody to answer to. Basically, I mean, the board. Well, a Series A company, the board is kind of like they're going to just defer to the founder largely.
Well, so we have a culture of challenging each other, and that goes up and down. I think my job now, my responsibility is to make sure that Frank is making informed decisions.
Yeah.
And so he may not like my opinion, but he may not like my opinion. I might not like the decision he makes, but ultimately, everything has to be gotten out on the table. He is accountable to the board. I know that responsibility. I knew that responsibility. So ultimately,
but you're on the board too. You get one of the votes. Probably got a 5 or 6 seat board or something.
So we don't share the information about our board. Yeah.
Usually 5. Your stage 5 or 7 would be the way to go. 3 common, 1 independent, and 1 investor.
Is this the poker thing
where
you're
supposed to nod?
I'm just talking. I'm not trying to reach him,
Blink twice if you're being held
I've listened
hostage.
to too many podcasts of yours.
You know the techniques.
I know what's going on here.
You know my interview techniques. I just put it out there. You're like something like that.
That's right.
I grind people down. It's like being a detective. You understand?
Yeah. I do.
It's like, oh, what do you raise? Like 10 million? And they're like, well, no. And we don't give that information out. Oh, okay, yeah. So usually 2. And it's like, well, no, more than that. Okay, so now we got our goalposts. We're getting there. We're playing the half game.
CEO is a lonely job. And
CEO job
sucks. It's a freaking tough job.
It sucks,
I'm not going to make it tougher. I'm going to make sure that he has all the information he needs to make the best decision possible. And I am going to execute because at the end of the day, I go back to what my goal is, which is to build a big, valuable company. And now Frank is in charge of making it
I was about to
happen.
say, that's the most important thing is that everybody is aligned as to what the outcome needs to be. Because the natural tension in startups is the founders, if there's a solo founder, they might own 40, 50% of the company. And if you sell a company for $30 million, you get 15. It's pretty great. But the hired CEO might have 5 points or something. And then the VCs don't care about tripling their money or quadrupling their money. They're in it for a 100x or a 50x. And then also the new incoming CEO, well, if you sell 5% of 30 million, it's, 1.5 million. It's kind of like, well, I could have just stayed at Yahoo. So
No, that definitely was not an option.
Well, I know, but that's what people, if you're an EVP or an SVP at a Yahoo-like company, I know the salaries. You're going to be making EVPs are making $1 million, SVPs are making 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. It's like a really great lifestyle.
Sure, but this is all about the
upside,
the challenge, the upside, and we haven't faced any of those challenges yet because the meeting owl's flying off the shelf, right? So we'll see how it comes over time. But right now they're certainly not facing that challenge. And listen, if those opportunities come our way, we evaluate everything, and we'll discuss it as we've discussed every challenge that has been thrown in front of us so far, and come to a unified decision.
I had a company I invested in, and they called me up. I had put $100,000 in, and they're like, got good news. We're selling for $30 million. Right. And I had been in it, it was a 9x for me. Right. And they're like, you made 9x in, 16 months. I was like, oh, no, that's terrible. And he said, it's terrible to make $900,000 in 14, 16 months, whatever. I was like, yeah, this is a disaster. If this company's willing to pay 35 or 40 million, it's because they have a theory, they have a thesis of how they're going to 10x it from here, at least. Which means this is a 90x, and we can get you guys some liquidity. Why don't we just set up $2 million in secondary or $4 million in secondary? I won't say which company it is, obviously. And they're like, yeah, no, we're kind of done.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, Mazel Tov. The 2 founders are now going to chop up the lion's share of the 40 million. Like they probably had 26 million of it or something. They get 13 million each. It's a big payday. I understand.
Sure.
But we could have given them 3 million each, stay in the game with the secondary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think that there's any interest at this point, certainly in selling for 30 to 40 million.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons I took it as well, took the role as well, which is they were in it for the long haul. There was no discussion about exit. Quite frankly, it was a discussion about how do we make sure that we map ourselves into the future, and a very bright future for the company and the product, without having to think about those distractions.
And also, like I think the moment you start thinking about your exits is the moment you start losing the game.
Oh, I agree. Right. Yeah, no, it's like the prevent defense in the NFL, which the Giants and like some of those East Coast teams, Bill Parcells, were really good at. But then everybody started doing it. And it's like, okay, you're up 2 touchdowns and you're just trying to burn the clock. Like, what got you up 2 touchdowns? It wasn't burning the clock. It was airing it out and maybe, going for it.
Sure. Well,
it's a really bad way to play on your heels, to try to play to not lose.
Right.
And burn the clock.
Well,
really bad.
No, if anything ever
Same
comes
thing
up
with poker tournaments.
where there's some sort of an outcome, we'll come back and talk about it, because at this point it's all speculation.
No, what about putting 2 owls on the table? Would that make things go better? You can't daisy chain them now, can you?
You cannot daisy chain them now. We've heard that from customers. We've heard a lot of great opportunities for ourselves to go after.
What do you think about that one specifically?
That's a great one for us to investigate.
Why is it a great one? Why would that be good?
Well, so I think customers are basically asking for greater coverage, right? They want to. They love the solution in their huddle rooms that seat like 6-9 people. They
perfect
want to
for
put
that.
in their boardrooms.
Right. The boardrooms, you got 12. Mm-hmm. What's the natural breaking point? You think 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that range?
Kind of depends on the size of the table, the geometry of the room. So it's hard to judge.
It's the distance from the microphones. Is that the key?
Distance from the camera, actually. The microphones have a 12-foot radius, a 24-foot diameter pickup. So it's quite large. But it's a fixed focus camera. So that means that the further you sit away, the smaller you're going to look. And there's a natural limit to like how much of you is valuable at a certain distance. We'd like to tell folks, look, if you've got a 13 by 17 foot conference room, we're probably a great solution for that. If you want to try it outside of that space, buy the owl. We have a 30-day money back guarantee. If it doesn't work for you, we'll take it back.
Yeah.
People don't send it back.
Because what you can do is the people who are doing the majority of the talking, because it's usually half the participants are taking notes or whatever, you just sit the people around the owl who are closest to it. How do you think about displays? And because that's the other part of these meetings, is throwing stuff up on the screen, Chromecast projectors. Mm-hmm. How do you think about that?
I mean, at the end of the day, I view that as friction, and that's an opportunity for us to eliminate.
Yeah. See, we had one of the Cisco one. They dropped down to about 10K with the monitors. I forgot what that was called. The Cisco Spark board.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. Feels like there's a lot of this bottom up technology, which you don't have to go through procurement. That's kind of Is that the kind of magic of this? Is that I can just put it on my corporate card and not go through procurement?
We definitely see a lot of operators buying it, right? Because it's solving a problem for them.
Yeah.
And then, what happens is it's gaining traction within the organization because people that are, participating in meetings with it are seeing it and they're buying it for themselves. So,
yeah.
We definitely...
It's viral in that way because it's under 1,000.
Yeah, but our customer base is, pretty diverse, anywhere from Fortune 100s to startups to EDUs. And, we've seen it go through the procurement process. We have a customer testimonial with Pendo on our website where it's the IT manager that talked about the fact that, they have them in all their conference
What's the
rooms
largest
right now.
install? You don't have to tell me who, but did anybody buy like 100 of these yet or 20, 30?
Dozens, I would say. Yeah.
That's pretty cool when you think about it, buying dozens.
Yeah.
I bet you it's people who are using Google Hangouts, right? Because Google Hangouts seems to be the one that works best with this. Am I wrong? Or?
So it's actually all of them. Zoom, Hangouts, Skype for Business, GoToMeeting, obscure web-based video.
What's the best in your mind? Which platform do you think works best with the owl?
So we think they're all great because they can, essentially the common denominator between all these platforms is they can accept an external camera, microphone, and speaker. So we just plug into that experience, right? And
it's Google Hangouts seems to be the one that startups, because they're developers and the prevalence of Google Docs in the organization makes it pretty seamless.
Absolutely. I think that's the easy one because Google Hangouts is built into the calendar integration, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because you one click it. Yeah.
That's right.
I was always a GoToMeeting fan.
Mm-hmm.
GoToMeeting still great.
It's still there. We have lots of customers using GoToMeeting.
Zoom seems to be booming.
They're taking off.
Yeah, we have a lot. We see definitely a lot of customers with Zoom as well.
Yeah, I think Sequoia is an investor in Zoom. Why is Zoom popular? What's the innovation of Zoom? Why do people like Zoom? Is there some innovation there that I'm not aware of? I don't know why that's popular.
So if I can offer an opinion.
Yeah, please.
We're not in the video conferencing platform development space, but in the early part of this decade, WebRTC became a thing.
Okay, explain what that is to the audience that doesn't know.
So my understanding is that it's an easy way for you to open up video and audio communications in a web browser. And so what that means is that any company can become a video conferencing company almost overnight.
Right.
But Zoom does something that's a little bit more special. They install a little plugin into your computer, which does, I think, a lot of their magic, the compression and the sync up and the latency. And so I think
so they're working on that.
They deliver better quality. Everyone else is using WebRTC. Not everybody, but a lot of people are. And so they get like relatively the same quality, whereas Zoom, I think
people like Zoom too, and maybe this relates to the WebRTC thing, because the screen sharing seems to work better, whereas people complain about Google Hangouts that the screen sharing looks janky. Like the frame rates. I think because if you think about screen sharing, you have very high pixel.
The thing is, we're super fortunate that these platforms exist. And we work with every single one of them.
Piggyback on them.
Use whatever you want to use.
Do you have distribution agreements with them? Do they like put you on their websites as their like partner?
Not at this point, no.
That seems like the ultimate layup. Is that what you're going to work on? Is that your first order of business, Frank?
Certainly, partnerships are going to be a big piece of it.
That seems like something you could go do. You got that partnership DNA.
I have the partnership DNA at this point. We're just focused on distributing owls ourselves, and we haven't had much problem doing that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, you'll definitely get some of those partnerships going. Okay. And then if you're on their website,
is this when I blink twice?
No, I mean some things on the roadmap are obvious. Like it's like when you're a startup, you go direct, and then at some point you figure out.
Yeah, you evolve the product. And
it's stable now, so it's not like you're gonna if Zoom starts selling it and you become like partners with Zoom. Like it's not like if they start selling or GoToMeeting or whoever it is.
Right.
It's not like if they sell it, they're gonna be like, oh, this is like some startup that's going out of business, or we're gonna get behind something that might not work. It's refined now. It's proven.
Yeah.
Battle tested. We've been using HubSpot here at launch for a couple of years, and we love it. It's incredible for marketing, you know that, but also my sales team loves it for CRM. It's fast, it's intuitive, it's robust, and they have a great program called HubSpot for Startups. This is a program that helps startups grow and scale faster and better. It's super cool. It includes a ridiculously steep discount on the HubSpot growth platform, up to 90% off. For startups in this education and programming, and access to all HubSpot integrations at a startup-friendly cost. Thousands of startups are already using HubSpot for sales, marketing, and services, and you're going to learn from amazing mentors associated with HubSpot for Startups. If you want to take advantage of HubSpot for Startups, head to HubSpot.com/startups/twist and read more. That URL again, HubSpot.com, HubSpot, HubSpot.com/startups/twist. If you use the twist link, you will be entered into a drawing for a free ticket to HubSpot's 20,000 person live event called Inbound, which is happening September 3rd through 6th in Boston. What a great deal. So go to again, HubSpot.com/startups/twist. We use HubSpot. We love it. It's incredible software. It's going to help your company grow. And that's what it's all about. Okay, let's get back to this amazing podcast. How do you deal with people knocking these hardware companies off? Like, have you had people who are just in Shenzhen or Taiwan, like knocking this off, like design and everything? Have you seen any fakes come up yet or no?
No, we have not. Yeah, this is a unique value. The automation that we've built into this product, the way we deliver that better experience, it doesn't exist in the marketplace. Yeah. So we have a great head start, and we again.
Where do you build it? Shenzhen or Taiwan? Or?
So we are in China.
Yeah.
A place called Nanning.
Nanning. Huh?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like being in Florida, except there's no ocean.
Do you go there and like actually check on the production and stuff like that?
Yeah. Whatever it takes.
Is that the hardest part about a hardware startup? What's the hardest part?
I would say the hardest part is managing your cash so you can get through the manufacturing phase, so you can get to market and delight customers. That's managing that cash is the hardest part.
Because you got to buy What, 10,000 at a time or something? Like
So
minimum order size, thousands?
Those are just small examples of like the big problems that are related to manufacturing. I mean, when you want to make one of these and it's a prototype that you put in front of investors, that's easy.
Yeah.
When you want to do this at scale, that is a hard problem.
Right.
Because the factories, they want to be able to crank these things out like nothing.
Right. When they fire it up, they don't want to do a 500 run every month. They want to do like 10,000, and all of a sudden you got pallets of these things and you got to move them.
That's right. And I'd say like a lot of the cash management magic was around really working closely with the manufacturing partner to make sure we don't spend all of our cash before we have a chance to prove that.
That's what Tim Cook did for Apple, right? I mean, that was like his big innovation. And now that put him in charge of the company, but now they're not innovating.
Yeah.
That's probably. What do you think about Apple?
I love their products. I use them all the time.
What do you think about the slowdown? You guys watching the slowdown in iPhones? Like, kind of don't need to upgrade anymore.
It's interesting. I'm not sure what to make of it.
Yeah. You have any thoughts on it?
No, I'm worried about our sales.
I like it. No, I mean, that's the other thing is
Max
I think.
just talked about focus. Let's maintain focus on Owl.
Yeah. No, it's one of the things about the product too is like, I was trying to think about, it's so good and so stable. Like, I could see myself having it for 10 years. So, but if you had additional products, I kind of feel like the meetings are becoming less painful. And if meetings become less painful and more productive, like if you can just get me 5% better fidelity, like if you had lavaliers, let me see if you like this idea. Because a lot of these big conference room systems have like satellite microphones around them. If you had a lavalier, just like a bucket of clips or something, you clip it on or something, that would be amazing to just have the perfect fidelity. You ever think about something like that?
We've talked about it. The thing is, it comes down to human behavior. And you want technology to be easy to consume, almost effortlessly, right?
Yeah.
And the moment you have to pick something up and think about it as friction and it's a failure point, it's just not it's not consistent with the philosophy we're trying to build within the company.
Just make it smooth.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing is that's one of the benefits is that you walk in and this is the device, right? You don't have to go looking for the last person that took the clip and walked out of the room and never returned it.
Yeah.
And I think, as you talk about product roadmap, we're trying to figure out, what are the other challenges that we can solve, right, in the meeting room to be able to make it more efficient, easier to use, no tax involved in terms of time for setup.
Have you thought about having these things operate standalone? Like, because that would be the obvious layup to me is like if it had Zoom or GoToMeeting or whatever built in and you didn't need to connect it to a computer.
Yeah.
Do people want that or no?
Yeah, I mean, those are part of the things that we're thinking through right now.
Yeah.
Being able to walk into a room and start your meeting without having to fumble through finding the cord and hooking it up into your computer. Those are
just put a number on it and just type the number in.
Exactly.
See, this is where the partnership. See, now this is where you're going to earn your keep, Frank. Is if you get the partnership with Zoom or whatever, and it's built in, you just type in the number of the room you're in, and boom. That's so. Does Google make something now? Oh, they make a TV, right?
They have.
What do they have?
A whiteboard thing.
They have a whiteboard thing they made. Yeah. Do you think they're a competitor or a collaborator?
Hard to tell with them.
It's hard to tell with them, right? Because they dabble into hardware. You don't even know if they're serious or not.
We love their Hangouts platform, though. That's sure.
It is amazing how that became the standard so quickly. Yeah. And you think it's that little hook of the calendar,
just built in. I mean, it's the whole point. They eliminated the friction of getting the meeting video call scheduled into the calendar, right?
So smart.
Right.
When you're setting up a calendar, it just says add a Hangout. Does it automatically have a Hangout for every calendar option or no?
It defaults to the Hangouts call, and then you can, I think, install plugins that change that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I had GoToMeeting set up to automatically do that. I was a huge GoToMeeting fan for a long time. It worked really well. I thought the reason I liked GoToMeeting was because it felt like they had their own infrastructure, like they weren't just using the public internet. Same thing with Cisco. Cisco had their own back end. But now is the internet fully capable of doing this, or do you think you need to have your own infrastructure?
It's getting there. It's getting there. Yeah. I mean, it's going to take some time. Like all things, but in time, we're delivering DVD quality to the home now, right? Through Netflix delivers DVD quality video at this point.
Yeah.
People accepted low fidelity for a long time. They still do, but like now they're getting higher fidelity because
I got 4K rocking at home now.
That's right. Yeah.
I can't tell the difference though. And then like I was trying to figure out how do you know if you actually have 4K working on Netflix? You know how you do that if you actually know?
I would imagine you go into the settings.
you don't go into Netflix settings. What you have to do is TVs have an information button now on the 4K ones that show you the bit rate in real time of what's being transmitted. But it doesn't get, it's like very obscure. And then you can see it's going up and down, but you can see your throughput. And if it hits a certain amount of bit rate, then you're at 4K. But it doesn't just say 4K. Like they should just say, like, there should be a little 4K icon or some light that just goes on. You're in 4K right now.
Yeah.
But they obscure it because even though they're delivering it in 4K, I don't think that they consistently actually get 4K because of Wi-Fi. People put Wi-Fi on their Apple TVs or whatever. It's like, well, what do you think's going to happen? You have to have a straight Ethernet run or it's not going to hit 4K that often.
Yeah, and just like for meetings, you want that Ethernet connection because the stable, to your point earlier, the first point you made was like you want to have reliable meetings. And so the Meeting Owl is like the first step for us to get there, right?
Yeah.
And
2.0 will have an Ethernet port for sure.
A lot of magic.
You got to have the Ethernet port. That's going to be amazing. Amazing.
Blink twice.
Blink twice.
I'm trying to like keep a straight poker face right now.
Nah, I mean, some things are on the roadmap or obvious, other things are not. Well, listen, thanks for making the product, Max. I think it's very cool.
Our pleasure.
And I think it's like, for founders out there, like, don't be afraid to go into a category that is seemingly done. Like, for some reason, you're like, it's not done, even though everybody has a webcam in their laptop and everybody has a microphone in their laptop. Like, it can always get better. And sometimes it can get dramatically better. So thanks for actually doing it. This is where some people are just, they feel like it's intractable or you can't compete. It's like one of the problems I have with Facebook. Everybody thinks you can't compete against Facebook. It's like, you can, just build something better. And congratulations, Frank.
Thank you.
You made it to the CEO slot. Congratulations. Your life's over. Now, remember, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
I'm already finding that out.
You know how I know he's doing a great job? Because I'm sleeping better at night.
Well, I always explain to people, here, if you want that, because I know people who like, oh, they really want the CEO slot or whatever. I'm like, here's your job as CEO, as best I can tell. Go into work, hire the smartest people you can, you find. Inspire them as much as you can, repeat the mission, all that stuff. And then when they can't solve problems, or they have personal problems in their life, existential crisis, marriage, sickness, God forbid, whatever, any problem they have in their life, whatever problem they can't solve, they bring to the CEO. So you find the smartest people you can and whatever they can't. Now you wake up every day, you go in, 30 people, they're going to have 2 or 3 problems per month. That's 90 people. That means every day, Frank, 3 or 4 people come into your office with something they can't solve. Congratulations on taking this job.
Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. It's like, oh, okay. All right. If you want to get the Owl Lab, go to owllabs.com. I highly recommend it. I like it. It's $7.99 right now, I guess. And there's kind of nothing like it out there. I don't know there's a competitor. I have these robotic cameras here in the studio, but these PTZ cameras, which is point, tilt, and zoom for those of you who are not in the audiovisual industry. I mean, these things cost, I think, maybe $2 or $3 grand. So the fact that you made it for that's why I was like, how do you get a robotic camera in there for $7.99? You built the robotics yourself.
Yeah, I like
that. Didn't exist. That's not an off-the-shelf thing.
No. Everything is built from the ground up, including the industrial design.
Yeah.
Which we actually deliberately chose to make it consumer-facing. I wanted something that my mom would feel comfortable picking up and touching. But you're right. The pan-tilt zooms, they sell them for conference rooms. What we found when we were doing customer development work was that people love the idea of the remote, but never use it.
Of course
so the desire's there, but like the will isn't. And so we knew that we can. It's
got to be automatic. Why don't they have security cams with this? I don't see many security cam like I have the drop cam or whatever, it's Nest Cam now, and it will zoom in its field of view, but it doesn't turn to follow people. That's what the world needs in security cameras is when somebody hops the fence, the camera follows them. Now you've got and zooms in on them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I wish Nest would sell that product.
It's all doable. It's not easy, but it's a market that someone should go after. We're definitely focused on the video conferencing.
Yeah, because what are you going to do? You're going to have some director in your conference meeting, like, okay, cut to camera 2, zoom in, get the remote control. Like, people are not coming to a meeting to direct a movie.
It's funny. The video output that we produce, which is the thing you described earlier,
the black bars,
and the people sliding in and out. We call that area of the screen the stage. because we think of Owl as the director, the real-time director in the room, directing people on and off the stage.
I love the 360 thing. That's the dope, because you can see every single person, and you know if somebody's like on their phone or something. Busted.
Yeah, I mean, we hear anecdotes from customer like, "Oh, now I know who's in the room. I'm not worried about like saying the wrong thing or."
Yeah, no. I mean, sometimes you're like, "Yeah, no, that guy still hasn't gotten me the deliverables." Like, I'm right here. I sent you the deliverables 2 days ago. You opened it 3 times.
Totally. One of our early customers actually, it's funny. He stole the turntable from his wife's spice rack, brought it into a conference room, and put his laptop on top of it, and would rotate the laptop at the person speaking at
with
the
the
right
webcam.
time. Yeah, and so like we changed his life with the Meeting Owl.
Yeah. All right, man. Continued success. Congratulations. And we'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.